Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome to episode 208. Wow, celebrating 5 years on the air. Here's to another exciting episode. It's such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for tuning in every Saturday night and engaging with me on social media afterwards. That truly makes it all worthwhile. Please continue to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And remember, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on our YouTube channel, Sundays at 2 p.m. via digital streaming. And of course, you can always check us out on your home TV platform on our own channel at mox.yourhometv.com. It's free programming to you. In our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift, today we're joined by a powerhouse panel chatting menopause, a transition that every woman will face, yet one that remains widely misunderstood and often dismissed. Joining the panel is Dr. Daisy Aim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and OBGYN and founder of the Polished Beauty podcast, a true advocate for women's health. We also have Lana Kerr, the visionary behind Lumisk Skincare and CO2 Lift, helping women navigate menopause with confidence and care. And of course, our headliner guest, Tracy Monique. Tracy is a best-selling author, podcaster, and alopecia advocate. Tracy's TikTok video of her experiencing a hot flash in the middle of a sports game where steam was literally rising from her scalp went viral, sparking a much-needed global conversation on menopause. She's here tonight to break it all down with our panel. In the PoliticGuy segment, brought to you by your home TV, we have a very special guest, Radio Golden Child. He's been a familiar voice in New York for nearly 2 decades, none other than Frank Morano, as the host of The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. Now he's making the leap from behind the mic to the campaign trail as he runs for New York City Council. Today, we'll talk about his transition from broadcasting to politics, the issues facing Staten Islanders, and what his national radio career will look like after the election. In the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, today we have Skeery Jones from the nationally syndicated Elvis Duran and the Morning Show, nightlife guru, podcasting trailblazer, and a walking, talking New York City entertainment guide. We're diving into the heart of staying relevant in the industry, the wildest behind-the-scenes stories, and how Skeery has mastered the game of media. In the health tip of the week brought to you by New Jersey Fieldhouse, I discuss the importance of play. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another powerhouse episode of A Moment of Zen. Stay tuned for Frank Morano up next.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today, live from headquarters, we have one impressive guest, Frank Morano. From national radio to local politics, can he transform Staten Island? That is the question. We're going to dive in to all the good stuff today. He is the host of The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC, and he's been a national voice in talk radio, but his roots remain firmly planted in Staten Island. He served on Community Board 3, worked in City Council, and testified on election reform, all with a deep passion for public service. Now he's making the leap from behind the mic to the campaign trail as he runs for New York City Council. Today we'll talk about his transition from broadcasting to politics to issues facing Staten Islanders and what his national radio career is going to look like. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Hello, Zen. It's great to be here. You know what a fan I am of your show and of you personally.
Thank you. Now let's get into this. Pew Research study found that over 50% of Americans trust local media personalities more than politicians, which makes your transition from radio host to candidate all the more interesting. You've built a career giving a voice to everyday New Yorkers on air. What made you decide that now was the time to step away from the studio and run for office?
It's such a good question. And honestly, it was unlike a lot of people that run for office. It was a very difficult question that I went back and forth with for a while because I love what I do and I could easily do it for hopefully the rest of my life and be very pleased. And we had a lot of success ratings wise, a lot of success in terms of awards, a lot of success in terms of being ranked by talkers in the heavy 100, all sorts of things that were going really well. And I was poised to do a lot of other great things. But a couple of things happened. One, the seat that I'm running for, the seat that was previously belonging to Joe Borelli, was open. He was term limited, so I was concerned about who was going to fill Joe's shoes. It's my hometown. It's the district I've lived in just about my entire life, and I wanted to make sure that someone could pick up the mantle from Joe and take the ball and run with it. Additionally, everyone that I grew up with, all of my siblings, all my cousins, all my friends growing up, every single one of them moved off of Staten Island as soon as they were able to do so, or shortly thereafter. We have a 3-year-old, as you know. He really looks up to your daughter, Alexa, and I really would love for him to stay in Staten Island and have the same kind of pride in Staten Island that I do. And I'd like to be able to say to him when he's an adult that I did whatever I could to keep you here. So that's basically it. I want to give this my all. I want to leave it all out on the field, not only the campaign, but the job itself, so that I could say to Carmine when he's an adult, hey, I did my best to keep you here.
Those are great motivations. And not many people trade a national platform for the grind of local politics. So you must really believe in what you're fighting for, Frank. And I know that as your friend, and I know you well. I know Rachel, I know Carmine. I truly believe that you are so passionate about this campaign, and you would have never left radio if it didn't mean this much to you. It's going to be tough stepping back. But hey, maybe politics is just another way to keep the conversation going, right? Now let's chat Staten Island, fight for fair resources. So Staten Island gets 40% less public transit funding per capita than other boroughs, even though its residents rely heavily on express buses and ferries. What's your plan to bring Staten Island the resources it deserves, whether in transit, infrastructure, or city services?
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that really is the fundamental reason that not only I wanted to do this, but I think a lot of Staten Island elected officials are so motivated to make a difference, because it often seems like Staten Island's got 5% of the city's population. We pay 20% of the taxes, but we have 1% of the influence. And the area that you just mentioned, express buses, is a perfect example. You know, once they instituted congestion pricing, which I'm totally against, that I'm going to fight really hard to roll back. Once they instituted congestion pricing for the subways and buses in the rest of the city, what they did was they said, all right, if you take 12 subway rides or 12 bus rides in a week, the rest of the bus rides are on us. The rest of the subway rides are on us. But in Staten Island, you know what you get if you take 12 express bus rides? You get nothing. You get nothing. So it's yet another example of Staten Island being given the short end of the stick. Now, part of that is because we're outnumbered by the rest of the city. I'd love to say that if you elect me, all of Staten Island's problems are going to go away. Realistically, that's not the case. What I can tell you is that I'm going to be the loudest voice and the hardest working elected official Staten Island has ever seen in terms of fighting for those resources. You mentioned infrastructure, which is another important one, especially what's going on now with City of Yes. The city council and the mayor pushed through the worst named program ever. They call it City of Yes. It should really be called the Neighborhood Destruction Act, because what they're going to do is destroy old school neighborhoods like we have in Staten Island by dramatically upzoning and dramatically increasing density. Staten Island doesn't have the infrastructure for that. We don't have the sidewalks. We don't have the sewers. We don't have the power infrastructure. I'm going to make sure that every single time a bureaucrat makes a decision about Staten Island, they're going to have to answer to me about why they're not making these promises into realities when it comes to Staten Islanders.
Yeah, and if Staten Islanders keep getting shortchanged, they need a stronger advocate just like you. And I know that you're going to make sure they're finally heard. So kudos. And it's interesting because when you talk about crime, right, while New York City saw an overall 6% decline in major crimes in 2023, Staten Island reported a 15% spike in property crime, a major, major concern for local families. How will you approach crime prevention and law enforcement policies to make Staten Island safer?
This is such an important question. And where I live in the South Shore of Staten Island, there's a huge issue with not only home invasions, but auto theft. There's two types of auto theft, where obviously just stealing the cars or where they steal the catalytic converters. And what's happening, what we're seeing is people are, number one, looking for unlocked cars. And if they could find the unlocked cars, they're stealing them and bringing them to, in most cases, New Jersey. If they can't find an unlocked car, what they do is they break into the house with the attempt of finding the car keys and then use those keys to take the car or to take the car to catalytic converter or other property. What I'd like to do, and I've already spoken with the DA's office and the local precinct about this, is set up checkpoints that disincentivize these criminals from going to New Jersey and coming to Staten Island, going back to New Jersey with a stolen car. If they know they're going to have to pass a police checkpoint and offer some sort of an explanation as to what they're doing, then you're going to see that stop, at least on Staten Island. You're going to see these folks go elsewhere. So that's part of it. It's a refocusing on the police and the DA's office in terms of police checkpoints and having an auto theft task force. Lastly, I'd love to see, and this is kind of revolutionary, and I don't know that we've seen anything like this, some sort of collaborative effort between the New Jersey police departments, both municipal and state, and the NYPD, because that's what's going on here. This is one problem. It's not a New York problem or a New Jersey problem, but we're treating it as separate problems. We've got to get the New York and New Jersey police departments working together. I'd suggest a collaborative task force. I'm going to work to make that happen.
Yeah, public safety is a top priority
Huge.
for any leader.
Absolutely.
And your approach, this one that you specifically just mapped out, could actually set the tone for how safe Staten Islanders feel every day. So I'm glad you've thought all of this through. And of course, that's part of the job that you've taken on, right? Now, overdevelopment versus smart growth. This is kind of, the yin and the yang. Let's talk about this. So Staten Island's population has increased over 10% in the past decade, but many neighborhoods still feel overcrowded and under-supported. What's your stance on development? How do you grow without sacrificing the character of Staten Island?
This is an issue that I've been working on for the last 24 years. I'm not against development at all. I'm not against significant development. It creates jobs and creates things like houses where people can live and afford to stay on Staten Island. What I'm against is irresponsible development. What we saw in the early to mid 90s especially is you saw people selling their houses, and where one house once stood, they would turn into 7 houses, basically even thinner than you, these houses. You turn sideways, you can't even see the house. That's how small it is. And the problem is that these houses, these properties are so out of character with the history and the culture of the neighborhood. So I want development. I just want to make sure development is in keeping with what the neighborhood actually looks like and what residents want, quite frankly. In my neighborhood, for instance, where we have mostly 1 and 2 family houses, we don't want to see a situation where there's an apartment building with 14 units of housing. And I fear that some of the other people in City Hall, that's exactly what they want. I'm going to push to stop that. And that's where a council member can really be effective. People ask, how can you be effective 1 in 51? You do have the ability to control a lot of zoning in your district, and it's called member deference, and that's something I'd work to preserve.
Yeah, smart growth is essential. If development isn't done with careful planning, it would, without a doubt, harm the neighborhoods that make Staten Island unique. So your approach is very, very calculated, and I'm glad that you're putting all of this on the table because you have to balance this. Which brings me to the next point, balancing politics, career, and family, right? So it's all about the balance. And studies show political candidates with younger children report 40% higher stress levels. And you've got a 3-year-old at home. How does being a father to Carmine influence your perspective on policies, and how are you balancing it all?
That has been the biggest struggle that I've had, balancing working, every night and campaigning during the day, which is basically like 2 full-time jobs, while trying to be a decent father and husband. Every time I'm leaving to go to a campaign appearance while Carmine is still awake, and he says, where are you going, Dad? And I explain to him where I'm going, and he says, something like, but I want you to hang out with me, or I thought you were going to play with me. It makes me want to cry. I'm getting a little choked up just thinking about it, and that's been the greatest challenge that I've had. I'm doing the best that I can. And we'll see. I'm hoping that after the election that that some sense of balance will be able to be restored. And maybe once I have more of a normal schedule and I'm not working at night and campaigning during the day, I'll be able to be home a little bit more and not neglect my family life. But in terms of perspective, that's the reason I'm doing this. I want Carmine to have a future. I'm concerned about his parks. I'm concerned about his schools. I'm concerned about the neighborhood that he's going to grow up in. And I want him to have the same type of pride in our neighborhood and our borough that I had growing up and that I still have. But I see too few Staten Islanders have.
Yeah, family always plays a big part in shaping policies. If you're thinking about the next generation, it shows in your decisions. And I mean, you've helped raise tens of thousands of dollars for causes like children's cancer research and the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Let's chat philanthropy. Will philanthropy continue to be a major focus for you if elected? And how can city government better support charitable initiatives?
So more than ever, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to as a city council member is you get what's called discretionary spending, and you can fund local nonprofit groups in your district. So what I'd like to do is fund a lot of groups that maybe have been neglected, or even if they haven't been neglected, could use a little bit more funding. We've got a real problem in Staten Island, and I think it's a national problem, quite frankly, with a huge uptick in children with autism. On our block right now, there are 3 boys that have autism. Now, that's just on one block. Now, I'm seeing this in pockets all over Staten Island. So there's a lot of services needed for children with autism. And as these children become young adults and their parents start passing away, these are going to be adults with autism spectrum disorder and various forms of autism. And I want to be able to deliver for them and do something for them. So that's a part of it. But you're able to actually allocate funding from the city council to specific nonprofits. And obviously I have a soft spot for youth sports, the Staten Island Soccer League, baseball. It never seems like there's enough fields for all the children that want to play ball. I want to be able to put that into a reality, getting more ball fields, more recreational activity, but also be there for special needs children.
Yeah, you said it. And giving back is at the heart of true leadership. And if elected, I'm sure you'll make sure that continues to be a priority.
No question.
So your radio experience and your political approach, I think there's a very nice relationship there. I think it's what laid the foundation for you to run. You've been a voice in talk radio for nearly 2 decades, engaging with a wide variety of listeners in the local market. When you look at the studies, they do suggest that radio personalities can influence public opinion because of your deep connection with your audience. So you've been this voice in talk radio for 20 years. How do you think your experience in radio is going to influence your approach to governing and connecting with Staten Islanders as a politician?
Another great question. I don't know whether it's you or Megan that's coming up with these really thought-provoking questions, but my compliments to both of you. In a few ways. Number one, it keeps you thinking quickly. When you're on the radio and you have to be able to debate any issue on a moment's notice with anybody, whether it's a guest or a caller, that's great preparation for going into the halls of the city council and being able to debate with other elected officials quickly, right? That's number one. Number two is listening, right? Having interviewed you a couple of times, you know that a lot of the times I do what you do, which is what I think most skilled interviewers do, and you do a lot of listening. You ask a good question, you ask an interesting question, and then you sit and listen. I think too few politicians make that a priority. Listen. So I want to listen to everybody. I want to listen to constituents. I want to listen to people that disagree with me. I want to listen to people that have business before the city. I want to listen to people who I'm going to make a decision that they're not going to agree with, and I want to at least leave them with the opinion that they've been heard. Even if I don't end up agreeing with where they are. In my experience, both in radio and in politics, if they feel heard, then they can deal with a decision that they may not like.
Yeah, you said it. Again, I mean, your answers are spot on. Your radio background is truly what made you uniquely equipped to understand the needs of the people, and it's going to translate into effective governance, if you asked me. I mean, time will tell, but you can already see the roadmap of an individual and of a politician, and your background definitely has equipped you with all of this. We are officially at the end of this interview. I could go on and on for another 30 minutes with you because, quite frankly, no pun intended, I love speaking to you, Frank.
Well, I'm speaking frankly all the time, and I love speaking to you, too. I hope we can do this again.
For those of you listening, head to moranoforcouncil.com and check him out on the gram at Frank Morano for Council. That's it for the PoliticGuy segment, brought to you by Your Home TV. Stay tuned for more conversations that shape our city and beyond. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and stay questioning. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
In business and in life, there's always an upside. Finding it is often the challenge. Having a mindset that looks for it and embraces problems as opportunities is the key to thriving. Finding the Upside with Maria de Lorenzo Reyes explores the transformative power of optimism, featuring visionary business owners, influential leaders, and inspiring everyday people. Tune in and see how they navigate changing conditions with optimism and innovation. Watch the special series One Tough Chick, highlighting resilient and powerful women, streaming on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio, right here at iHeart headquarters. Today we have an incredible guest in the Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by the one and only Once Upon a Coconut. For nearly 3 decades, Skeery Jones has been a powerhouse in radio, making millions laugh every morning on the nationally syndicated Elvis Duran and the Morning Show. But he's more than just the voice behind epic prank calls. He's a nightlife guru, podcasting trailblazer, and a walking, talking New York City entertainment guide. Whether he's pulling off legendary phone taps, hosting the Brooklyn Boys podcast, or discovering the hottest spots in town, Skeery brings humor, heart, and hustle to everything he does. Today, we're diving into the art of staying relevant in entertainment, the wildest behind-the-scenes stories, and how Skeery has mastered the game of media. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Wow. That's a lot to live up to, Zen.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. Let's get it going.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much. I was when you asked me to be on the show, I was like, you seriously want me? Why are you talking to me for? Why don't you talk to one of my other coworkers or people, you know? And you're like, no, I want you. Why do you want me?
I want you because I want to chat evolution of a radio icon. And longevity in entertainment is no easy feat, my dear, especially in radio, where trends really do change faster than a New York minute. I mean, but here you are, nearly 30 years later, still at the top of your game. And when you look at the statistics, Skeery, statistically, the average career span of a radio host is only 8 to 10 years, yet you've shattered that norm, reaching millions upon millions of listeners across 75 stations. What's been your secret to staying fresh, funny, and relevant in an industry that's just constantly evolving?
Wow, that's a loaded question. First of all, I have to say thank you to Elvis for, Elvis is kind of the glue, and he's the ringmaster, and he's probably the reason why I'm still here 30 years later, right? Because he basically assembled this crew back in 1996, right? Our morning show itself, the Elvis Duran Morning Show, is turning 29 this May. We're friends on air and we're friends off the air, which really helps. This wasn't an arranged marriage. We were all put together, and we stuck together, the core group of us, and we've added some people along the way. So for longevity purposes, I would have to check the box and say, thankfully, Elvis has been here. To answer the other part of your question about staying fresh and funny, well, staying fresh, no offense, I'm going to offend a lot of people out here, but here we go. I stayed single, and I never had any kids. I'm sorry. I had to be said. I don't have any mileage on me. I've never had, listen, I see what it's like to be a parent for my brother, my sister, and my parents raising us. And so basically being out there and being able to do my own thing in my own space and hang with who I want, and not have kids in the mix, maybe selfish to some, but for me, that's one of the things in my life that I use as an advantage because I'm able to, use more of my money on traveling, on hanging out with friends. I've got more time for them. I've got more time.
Yeah. You definitely have it all mapped out here, the single route, the no kids route. But talk to me about your girlfriend.
My girlfriend, Robin, she's a rock because she puts up with me. I don't know, she basically allows me to do what I want to do. And she does her thing, I do mine. We're very highly independent. When the time that we hang together is quality time. And all I could tell you is that I wouldn't change it for the world. A lot of people, but then again, there's other people listening right now like, oh, wait a second, but having kids is such a wonderful thing. It's so beautiful.
Hey, listen, it's not for you. Listen,
it's just not for me.
For you. Let's talk about your legendary prank calls. Okay, so the phone tap has become a staple of morning radio, and your character, Mr. Michael Oppenheimer, is pure comedy gold.
You've heard that?
But here's a fun fact. Studies show that pranks trigger dopamine release, making people feel more engaged and connected. Have you ever pulled off a prank that went so off the rails you thought, this might be the one that gets me canceled?
I mean, let's go back in the day because we've been doing these since 2003. But a lot of those beginning years, we were ruthless. I would say anything. And if I, to the point where the cops were called and because people believed the scenario. And then they put me on the phone with a cop and I'm like, this is a joke. So, those are the ones that you'll never hear because we never got permission to air them and they'll never, see the light of day. But, we've broken up relationships before. I went to bed feeling awful, not being able to sleep because
you broke up relationships.
Well, listen, all the jokes, all the pranks always came from the audience over those years, right? All these years, they start with an email to us saying how they want to trick and play a joke on a loved one in their life. And they'll give us a scenario that's plausible. And so, it takes time to have gotten these, to get these pranks. I mean, sometimes we have hours of editing to do and, people only hear like a 3-minute call. So it's highly edited. So, but yeah, we've had issues over the years, like, but we've toned it down a lot, it's a different society.
So now let's talk about podcasting and the Brooklyn Boys boom. So podcasting has exploded right now. There are over 4.5 million podcasts worldwide, and those are just the reported numbers, but only a small percentage break through the noise. The Brooklyn Boys podcast isn't just successful. It was nominated for Best Comedy Podcast at the iHeart Podcast Awards. That's major, Skeery.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize, okay, this isn't just a fun side project, it's a movement?
Well, yeah, it did start as a hobby, right? It was me along with David Brody, who at the time was on our Elvis Duran show as our writer and also one of our producers. And the two of us just said, look, there are a lot of things that we like to talk about that maybe never make it on the air, or maybe we want to expand on it on our own time, because we know broadcast radio has tiny little time capsules of things and then you move on. It's all forward momentum. With a podcast, you can marinate in it for an hour. You could just open up one topic and go. And so we thought that's the reason why we wanted to start this like side project. And about a year and a half later, maybe even less than a year and a half later, we were nominated at the first iHeartRadio Podcast Awards for Best Comedy. And I'm like, wow, we're going up against Conan O'Brien and Joe Rogan, and what world is this? And they flew us to LA, and I was on that flight that I really realized that this could be something more than just two guys shooting the with each other in our spare time, which is how we treated it. And 6 or 7 years later, here we are. We're still doing the Brooklyn Boys. How podcasting has become so, much more important in society. The recorded format of being able to just be unapologetically you and just say what's on your mind, I think that's more valuable than ever.
So let's talk exactly about that. The art of keeping it real. So one thing that makes you stand out is your unfiltered, tell it like it is style. I mean, you're never afraid to speak your mind, and that's rare in today's world. But let's be real. I mean, cancel culture, like you said earlier, is still very real, and people are quick to take offense. Have you ever felt a pressure to tone it down, or do you believe authenticity is always just your winning formula?
Authenticity first, because we have to speak our minds and be who we are, right? But maybe some of the, I mean, we get a little crass with the language. We talk to our listeners the way as if we're talking to them at a bar. No holds barred, and almost like who we are. You're familiar with our content. So we don't expect random people to show up to the party and be like, who are these people? And I'm offended by them, because the listeners are all in on it. They've, if you've made it through the 327 episodes, the people we are.
Now I want to go one step further. Let's go from Brooklyn streets to high society eats. You're basically the human Yelp of NYC nightlife. If there's a new restaurant, a bar, or a hotspot, you've already been there and reviewed it. And right?
Well, if I haven't been there, I'm begging to get in.
Okay, so because that's what you do. So, and when you look at the studies, 92% of people trust recommendations from influencers, from trusted radio personalities more than ads. And you've become like a go-to source for where to eat, drink, and vibe. What's your most unforgettable VIP experience, and what's one NYC spot that's actually worth the hype? The
disposable income that I have from not raising kids and putting people through college, I have 4 dinners. I enjoy a good meal. And so I follow all the chefs. I see what's going on, who's opening what, and especially a great cocktail bar. I want to make sure that I'm going to places, but I want it to be things that are quality, or what's deemed quality, or what other people have said is awesome. I do like what chefs like this guy Andrew Carmelini does, right? And he's got a place called Cafe Carmelini. He's got a few places under his belt. But anytime he opens a restaurant, I want to go to that one, right? There are, I know you could name all these bougie chefs like a Daniel Boulud and the Jean-Georges of the world. Those are nice. Those places are next level expensive. So those are occasional places. But I like also a good atmosphere. So when great food is mixed with an awesome build out of a restaurant with good vibes, like for instance, this restaurant Kokodak, which opened up, which is basically you get a bucket of KFC chicken on the table, but it's not greasy. It's made, you turn the menu over, it's just made with better chicken, better, no seed oils and things, and better ingredients. And so you are eating like chicken nuggets with caviar on them.
Ooh. And
it presented to you in such a sexy space where the lighting is perfect. There was a whole documentary on how they built this place out. And then, Google it. It's COQODAQ. It's Korean barbecue.
Wow. Now, last question. So staying relevant in this ever-changing industry, radio, podcasting, social media, streaming. I mean, if you're not evolving, you're getting left behind.
Yeah.
And you've mastered the art of staying ahead of the curve. What's next for you? What advice would you give to the next generation trying to break into media?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say be multifaceted. It's not just about, getting into TV or radio, or it's all of it. Because with iHeart, it's all things sound, right? And video. So now it's podcasts are not just audio, they're video. I'm looking at you on a screen. So I would say make sure that your skills are up to speed, because they're now doing more with less, right? More. So that means the host, the creator, also may have to be the producer, may have to book their own guests. You have to have communication skills and networking. You have to be able to edit, right? On Pro Tools or whatever, CapCut. You need to know social media. You need to know social media best practices. So it's more, it's not just being, hey, I want to be on the radio and I want to be a DJ. Because now those people are all doing multitasking.
Well, we're officially out of time. This has been an absolute blast. I mean, you're proof that personality, authenticity, and pure hustle will always win. I mean, whether it's on radio, stage, behind a podcast mic, you bring something so special, Skeery, and I am proud to be your friend.
Oh, I'm happy to have you as a friend as well, Zen. This is great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And a big thank you to our segment sponsor, One Sponda Coconut, because every great conversation like this one deserves to be fueled with premium hydration. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and more importantly, stay hydrated. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Do follow Skeery on the gram at Skeery Jones, and you can check out his amazing and hilarious podcast at The Brooklyn Boys. You're listening to A Moment of Zen. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com. Welcome back to the 710 WOR Health Feature of the Week, brought to you by the New Jersey Fieldhouse. Did you know that 75% of our kiddos under 12 aren't getting enough active free play, and only about half of preschoolers play outside with a parent at least once a day? Meanwhile, stress and anxiety rates in both kids and parents are skyrocketing. Here's the good news. Play is the antidote. Research shows that when parents and kids engage in shared activities like playing catch, hiking, or even learning the latest TikTok dance together, they create something called social buffering, a powerful stress reduction tool that helps both of you feel calmer, happier, and more connected. Think about it. When you play with your child, you're not just having fun, you're helping their brain regulate emotions, building their confidence, and protecting them from anxiety and depression. And guess what? It works for you too. Play is a natural stress reliever that strengthens your bond, boosts your mood, and reminds you to be present in the moment. So put the phone down, step away from the to-do list, and give yourself permission to play. Whether your child is 5, 15, or 25, it's never too late to reconnect. Because the time you spend playing today is the foundation for a stronger, healthier relationship tomorrow. This health tip is brought to you by Moment of Zen and the New Jersey Fieldhouse. Now go play.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Fieldhouse in Northvale, New Jersey, a vibrant and fresh take on youth and adult sports and family fun, and home to the New Jersey Thunder softball program. Plan unforgettable birthday parties or private events, or explore camps and programs that keep kids active and inspired. Take time for yourself in adult leagues or rent a field or court with friends. From a cutting-edge gaming cave to hitting and pitching centers and top-tier sports instructors, the Fieldhouse is reigniting the next generation of play. Head to njfieldhouse.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Aim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Aim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift. In our Expert on the Microphone series today, we are joined by a powerhouse panel chatting menopause, a transition that every woman will face, yet one that remains widely misunderstood and often dismissed. With over 1.3 million women in the U.S. entering menopause each year, the impact is undeniable. From hot flashes to brain fog, mood swings to bone density loss, menopause is a physiological transformation that affects not just our bodies, but our confidence, our energy, and our overall well-being. Joining me today is Dr. Daisy Aim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, OBGYN, and founder of the Polished Beauty Podcast, a true advocate for women's health. We also have Lana Kerr, the visionary behind Lumis Skincare, home of CO2 Lift, helping women navigate menopause with confidence and care. And of course, our headliner guest, Tracy Monique. Tracy is a best-selling author, a podcaster, and an alopecia advocate. Tracy's TikTok video of her experiencing a hot flash in the middle of a sports game where steam was literally rising from her scalp, went viral, sparking a much needed global conversation on menopause. Tracy uses her platform to shed light on topics often left out in the shadows. Joining me now is the incredible Powerhouse panel. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Tracy, let's start with that viral moment, your TikTok video where we see steam visibly rising from your head, resonating with millions. In fact, hot flashes are one of the most common symptoms of menopause, affecting up to 80% of women, yet they remain widely misunderstood. What was going through your mind when you saw just how many women related to your experience?
I was just at all. First of all, I didn't think the video was going to go viral, for one. For two, when people started, commenting about how they experienced that, but it wasn't a visual. But I was used for people to see that it's actually something that we go through. You get hot on the inside, and sometimes you're just so hot, you don't even know how to control the heat. It's just you're sweating, you're hot. You just want to rip your clothes off, But I'm just grateful that I was used to show people that this is a real thing and it's something that we really need to discuss.
Yes, without a doubt. Of course, after that visual went viral, you definitely want to talk about addressing just that, the steam coming off your head. Dr. Daisy, let's break this down scientifically, okay? A hot flash isn't just a fleeting moment of heat. It's a biological response caused by hormonal fluctuations. You, of course, know this. Studies show that as estrogen declines, the hypothalamus, the body's internal thermostat, becomes hypersensitive, mistakenly thinking the body is overheating. Can you explain what's happening in the body during a hot flash and why some women experience them more severely than others?
Your brain normally, estrogen works in this thermocenter to balance our body temperature. So the decline of estrogen causes our brain to kind of misfires. And when this occurs, you have this acute vasodilation, which basically means your blood vessels are dilated, usually underneath your skin surface area. So this causes this internal heat and flushing feeling where you're just feeling they say warmth, but I say hot, because if you experience this, it feels like you're burning inside. And then your body is reacting to it. So by it trying to cool down the overwhelming heat you have, you sort of have like sweating. And then once the sweating dissipates, then you start having kind of like this chills and coldness that you have afterwards. So physiologically, your body is just trying to understand what is going on. And Tracy's video just basically captured that moment so beautifully. And there are different reasons why women will have more than others. The number one reason is genetics, right? Some women are just predisposed to have more severe symptoms based on genes. The second thing is metabolism and body composition. The more fat distribution you have, the more intense your experience with hot flashes is. The other thing is lifestyle factors. Those lifestyle factors could be smoking, alcohol, spicy foods. Those could be triggers for you to have this hot flashes moment. Another thing is just medical conditions. If you have a thyroid disorder, this can be a trigger for you to have excessive hot flashes moment as well. And lastly is ethnicity, which basically means, Black, Latino women that tend to have more intense and longer episodes of hot flashes compared to our Asian and white counterparts.
Wow, being a woman is so much fun. From giving birth and feeling like every bone in your body is breaking from vaginal delivery to an infernal burning inside of you. Yeah, I mean, this is like welcome to the club, ladies. Imagine, right? How easy men have it. So Lana, menopause is more than just these hot flashes. We've been saying this for the last 6 months, especially in all our expert segments. It impacts everything from skin elasticity to hydration levels and even how we heal. Your work with CO2 Lift, especially CO2 Lift vaginal rejuvenation treatment, has focused on restoring skin and vaginal health, two areas that are dramatically affected by menopause. What role do regenerative treatments like CO2 Lift and CO2 Lift V play in helping women feel more comfortable and confident during this transition?
I like to use the analogy of a grape and a raisin. We start off this beautiful grape full of water, bouncy, and we're not only talking about the skin on our face, we're talking about our vulva skin, our vaginal tissue. And then we turn into this raisin, this dried up structure. We fortunately have the technology that slows that process down. So let's just talk about down there. There are a couple things that happen. We're talking about our blood flow, our blood supply slows down, which affects the ability of our clitoris to function optimally. Our tissue in our vaginal tissue gets thinner and drier, just like the skin under our eyes. And so that's going to lead to more painful sex, less pleasure in sex. And then also painful sex. And also too, we can experience where you cough and you sneeze and then you'll pee. And then our pH goes off. So we'll find we're more susceptible to infections. The CO2 lift is very, very good at combating all those different symptoms because we're talking about hydration. You're going to see it immediately on the skin, even down there. That tissue is going to plump up, as well as the fact that we're going to experience better orgasms because we're increasing blood supply very quickly. Then our tissue is going to get thick, so it feels more like a pillow for our partner or whatever we're putting inside, like this cushion. And then of course we're getting less infection. So it's something that I like it as a great tool for once we do the series to bring that back up, and then we just maintain it monthly. We're not talking against lubes. Lubes are something that women use and can be necessary for many women. And sometimes the more lube you use, the better. But it still is not. That is not changing the quality of our tissue. CO2 lift is changing the quality of our tissue. It's something that actually reconditions vulva-vaginal skin as well as the skin on our face.
Beautiful. And now, Tracy, back to you. Beyond the humor in your video, there's a deeper conversation happening. And many women commented that they now understand what their mothers went through, while others shared their own struggles. Your video became more than just a viral moment. It became an awareness campaign, if you ask me. How has this experience shaped your perspective on menopause advocacy? And what conversations has it sparked for you personally?
It's just sparked a lot of conversation about what do you do to control how you feel? What emotions do you have? What does it feel like? Because I have a daughter, she's 25 years old. So she's going to possibly experience the same thing as I am experiencing now. So it's bringing a lot of awareness to a lot of my peers and my friends. And we kind of discuss options and what kind of options are out there for us to use to control menopause.
Yeah, it's definitely, without a doubt, I'm sure, brought a whirlwind of information and advocacy your way and educated you in ways about yourself that you didn't even know existed, right? Just
Yes.
by sharing your story and having others come into your ecosystem. Now, Dr. Daisy, hot flashes are just one piece of the menopause puzzle. Women also report increased anxiety, brain fog, and even heart palpitations. Research from the Endocrine Society shows that during a hot flash, a woman's heart rate can increase by as much as 16 beats per minute. What are some of the lesser known symptoms of menopause, and what should women be paying attention to?
Number one, burning mouth syndrome. This is a tingling, burning, metallic taste that you may experience. And again, this is due to hormonal shifts and your taste bud changes during menopause, perimenopause years. Number two, I call it itchy, crawly, tingling skin, formication. That happens because of the collagen production that's affected and skin hydration. So that's something that you're going to experience. Number three, electric shock sensation. This is basically having this zap or jolty feelings that you may get, and essentially is due to nerve firing. So that's something that can occur in menopause. Number four, you have your joint and pain stiffness. We've kind of talked about this before, frozen shoulder syndrome, but it's also menopausal arthritis. This is real and it's something that can happen. Number five, you have digestive changes and bloating. We all know that our gut health is the essential part of our being, and the lack of estrogen can definitely affect that as well. So you get like these IBS-like symptoms, although it's not a typical IBS. Then you have changes in body odor. That's something that can happen. You can find yourself smelling different, or your perfume doesn't give you the same effect as it used to. That can happen. Increased anxiety and panic attacks, as you mentioned, that's something that's common. Sudden food changes or cravings or aversions, what you used to love, you don't like anymore, and things you didn't like, you love. That happens, your taste bud changes. And then you have just ringing ear. This can happen during menopause. All of a sudden, you feel like your hearing is changing. And lastly, gum and dental disease. So seeing your dentist is very important because around this time, decline in estrogen can cause changes in your dental health as well. So those 10 common symptoms are things that we don't talk about. I know the vaginal symptoms is common, hot flashes is common, the heart is common, but every organ is affected during this time.
Oh my goodness. Well, wow, I don't even know, like, where are the good stuff? Okay, Lana, we're gonna turn to Lana. Let's talk confidence. So, so Lana, menopause can be a clear blow to self-esteem. Thanks for that, Dr. Daisy. Weight distribution changes, hair thins, skin losses. It's, all kinds of stuff. The skin is losing its firmness. But a study from the American Menopause Society found that over 60% of women report a decrease in self-confidence during menopause. What advice do you have for women struggling to feel like themselves again? And how can they regain a sense of control over their bodies?
Yeah, it was interesting because I was at a longevity summit about a week or so ago, and just talking at dinner with a couple of the women who understand this, and they were explaining the same thing. They just don't feel themselves, and I think first of all, one of the things is information. If you understand what is happening to you, then it helps you to adjust the way you think about it. We have so much information, for instance, going through puberty. So we are, as mothers, I know that Tracy, you have your daughter, Dr. Daisy, Zen, we all have children. I have boys, but our mothers educated us on puberty. Like, we were able to understand what is happening to us. So that helped us to adjust our mindset. So once we pass it, we could have our confidence. I think it's the same thing with this part of our lives. Is first of all, the information, not only the common things that Tracy kind of highlighted, that I talked about earlier, that Dr. Daisy mentioned. When we understand all of those things, and that these are some of the things that can face us, then we understand it. Then it's just a matter of adjusting our mindset. To me, menopause can be, and for me personally, I feel very confident in it. Why? Because I understand, first of all, this part of my life is where I feel most, I have most information, I have life experience. I feel like I don't have to give explanations to people, but it's because I have the information. And then I'm doing the things that are necessary to combat some of those symptoms. So I feel like this for women is a part of life that we want to be at. Yes, we're getting those things, but they will pass. We'll get, some of those symptoms will pass. And then we have the technology that can help us. So definitely it's a mindset shift that we need to all as women feel. I don't even feel it's changing the word. I've heard some people who are big menopause advocates say, oh, they don't like the word. I love the word. It's not about the word. It's what the meaning that we put behind the word. Menopause can equal the time of life, the butterfly time of life, that we all this time were a caterpillar and now we're in the butterfly. And so we can fly and we can soar, we can get the things we don't have children anymore. So it's our time to invest more in ourselves and to just do and accomplish the things that we couldn't because of just our family obligations before. So I think it's definitely a mindset change. And then, of course, availing ourselves to the technology that can help us to deal with these symptoms.
Preach. Amen. Yeah, you said it. No, it's truly, it's our time. Tracy, I'm going to pivot to you because this is the perfect time. She's talking about confidence. I want to talk about emotional. Menopause isn't just physical, right? We know it's emotional, and mood swings and irritability and even depression are more common. Mayo Clinic study found that women going through menopause are at significantly higher risk for anxiety and depression. Now, what has your emotional journey been like? And what advice do you have for women who may be feeling overwhelmed?
Self-care. Get to know who you are as a person. Stop being the person that always trying to fix everyone, but neglect yourself. Do you. Stop trying to worry about what other people think about you. Stop trying to fix everybody. Stop trying to be the do girl. Just enjoy yourself and take care of yourself and get to know who you are. What do you like? What do you want to do? That's what I would say to anyone that is trying to overcome a lot of different things. Like, leave all that other stuff behind and take a good look in the mirror and say, hey, I love you. You're the best. I'm going to work on me and leave everything else alone.
That's great advice. That's great advice. What was your emotional journey like, or what is it currently like?
Well, my emotional journey I cry. I honestly can say I do cry a lot. And that is because everything that I loved have been kind of stripped away. You know what I mean? Things that was holding on to, um, thinking it was going to make my life better. Um, I'm just right now, I'm at peace though, but I have lots of peace and joy. But as far as emotional, I cry a lot because I'm really getting to understand who I am as a person. And I'm understanding that the people that I poured into and that they couldn't pour back into me, I had to let them go.
Right.
And I have to have acceptance of that, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. This is such a beautiful time if you think of it. It's time to reflect and time
Mhm.
to really roadmap your next chapter. And sometimes that does involve releasing the old and, coming in with the new. And when one door closes, another one opens. And so
Yeah.
that's a great moment to be in because you're full of self awareness. Dr. Daisy, one of the biggest health concerns post menopause is osteoporosis. As estrogen declines, women can lose up to 20% of their bone density in the first 5 to 7 years after menopause. What preventative steps should women take to protect their bone health, and how early should they start thinking about this?
I think women should start thinking about their bone health the minute they get into adolescent years. Start eating nutrition, making sure you're eating high calcium meal, you're exercising, doing weightlifting, weight bearing exercise. And if you're more on the skinnier spectrum, you really want to work on building muscle. So starting in your 20s and 30s, that would just carry you into your 50s and postmenopause years easily. So nutrition is the first thing. Exercise, weight bearing is very important. When you're in your menopause years, getting on HRT is always an option. Not every woman wants to get on it. So I'm very cautious when I say that because there truly are women that don't want to. But being informed and educated as a choice is something to consider. Supplements is something that I am not a big supplement, but there are a few that I would say I do recommend, I think is good. A daily multivitamin is essential, something that you can add to your nutrition if you're nutrient deficient. Focusing on calcium, you can even consider creatine, which is good in muscle building. So taking those steps in your 20s and living a consistent life is what is important. In your later years, if you've not done that in your 20s and 30s, because a lot of people don't think about this until they're actually in the thick of it, you can start right where you are today. Start
Yeah.
going to the gym, start lifting weights, start eating better. Just start today, wherever you are in your journey.
Yeah, it's important to be proactive. Get ahead of the curve, I always say.
So,
Now, Lana, we've come a long way, but menopause is still a topic that's shrouded in stigma. We've been talking about demystifying those stigmas for quite some time on our series. For generations, women have been conditioned to suffer in silence, but we know that knowledge is power. How important is it to normalize conversations around menopause, and what can be done to shift the cultural narrative around this life stage?
saying the word menopause, making people understand that it's not a bad part of our life. It's not like we're put out to pasture. We really are just experiencing a shift to get to that butterfly that we talked about. But having these type of regular conversations, I'm glad for Dr. Daisy's podcast too. Just talking about it. I think that's the first thing. And that's why Tracy was saying she's shedding, she's crying, because she's just understanding what she was learning about. But I think the generation coming, because we're talking about it, they won't necessarily have the same confusion that we may have had because these conversations are being had. In terms of a cultural shift, I think definitely, talking beyond the period conversation. We need to talk to our our daughters, our nieces, our young women beyond the period. Talk about what happens next. What are you going to experience and how you can prevent experiencing a lot of the symptoms, because you can actually prevent it. As Dr. Daisy said, if you didn't start, you can always start now. But it is, if you can start doing things before you're experiencing these symptoms, you can actually avoid a lot of the symptoms that many people have during menopause. So just having the conversations, and I don't think it's a bad thing to say. And it's not only just the conversation on menopause, the conversation on sex, sex, intimacy, not making it a negative word, not making it, oh, I can't talk in front of the children. That those are necessary parts of life that needs to be discussed. And so if we can openly have them without giggles, without the, I cannot stand when a lot of women start these conversations and laugh about it, because it's a serious conversation. Why are we making light of it by joking about it? So I think though having all of those, that attitude towards menopause, sex, intimacy, is going to make the conversation a normal conversation to have, and that women can prepare for it. And even if they didn't, they can have an idea of what to do to minimize a lot of the symptoms that they experience.
That's great advice. That's great advice. Well, we are officially at the end of this incredible conversation. It needed to be had. And thank you so much, ladies, for being open, honest, and really empowering our audience. Tracy, was such a pleasure having you on. Lana, always incredible. And Dr. Daisy, thank you so much for the expertise that you bring to our panel always.
Absolutely.
For those tuning in, if this conversation resonated with you, share it, talk about it. Let's break the stigma. You can find Tracy Monique's book, Yo-Yo, Finds Her Sparkle on Amazon Prime. Dr. Daisy Aim continues to educate and empower women through her Polished Beauty podcast. And of course, explore CO2 Lift V by Lumisk Skincare for solutions that help women feel their best at every stage of life. Thank you to our panel. Thank you to CO2 Lift V for making this conversation possible. And most importantly, thank you to all the women out there who are embracing this transition with courage. You are seen, you are heard, and you are powerful. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com. Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. We are at the end of our date. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. We upload to our YouTube channel Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide platform. You could head to mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll be back next week.